When you're walking in the hills and for whatever reason you did happen to slip or trip, and that self-belay technique didn't stop you straight away, so that slip then started to become a slide, you'll need to know how to ice axe arrest well. It's not often your choice whether you land head first on your front or on your back, or feet first on your bum. So you'll need to know a few different ways of reorientating yourself and bringing yourself to an effective stop. And we're going to look at those 3 different ways of ice axe arresting. When it comes to practicing your ice axe arresting, you definitely want to practice it in a fairly safe location. And that's going to have a good clean run out, so no steep drops or rocks or areas that you can't control yourself on a nice angle of slope. You want to get rid of your leash, and wearing a helmet's a very good idea as well. You definitely don't want to practice this with your crampons on, because often accidentally you'll put your feet down, and if you do that it's bad news for your ankles and your lower leg. The position that you want to get is key with your axe to allowing yourself to actually stop or arrest. Whichever hand is your uphill hand will be the hand that the axe is in. When you bring the axe up, initially you need to bring it up to the same shoulder as the hand that the axe is in. So for me, this is my right hand being my uphill hand. To bring the axe into the arrest position, I'll initially roll my hand over the top of the axe, bring it in to my shoulder, just in that soft part of your shoulder just there. What I also need to do that's really important is cover up the spike on the bottom of the axe, because if I don't cover this up while I'm arresting, the point of the axe hovers around some pretty important areas that you definitely don't want to spike, either in your thigh or in your lower stomach. So covering the spike of your axe is very, very important. Once the axe is in this position, you want to bring your elbows down and lock them in, because this gives you a very strong position as well. When you're on your front, in this position, with the axe under your shoulder and your spike down, working from a head down, I want to be looking down towards the spike of the axe, because this draws my shoulder onto the head of the axe. It also keeps my face away from the adze area, which is pretty important for looking after yourself. You want to have a bit of clearance between your stomach and the snow, because if you lie on the snow completely, again that lifts your shoulder off, and the shoulder driving into the head of the axe is part of what's going to stop you. Help keep your stomach off the ground. You're going to be on your knees, so that helps rise you up a wee bit, and you also want your knees to be reasonably wide apart. If your knees are close together, you're quite unstable. With them wide apart, they act like stabilisers. You definitely don't want to have your crampons on, but you always want to concentrate on keeping your feet up off the ground, because if you did slip or fall when you're out in the hills, you don't know whether you'd have your crampons on or not. And to put your feet down when you're sliding, if you had crampons on, would be really bad news. So keep your feet up, knees wide apart, stomach off the ground, head looking down towards the axe, cover the spike and get your shoulder over the head of the axe. As you can see, I'm sliding down the hill feet first on my bum. I'm going to roll over to the side that the head of the axe is on. As I come over onto my hip, same side as the head of the axe, this is the point. I'm then going to swing my feet up off the snow to keep my crampons and my feet clear of the snow. As I roll over onto my front, you can see the axe coming in under my shoulder, pressure coming in from my shoulder, my hands covering the spike of the axe, my waist is off the snow, my knees are nice and wide apart for stability, and this is going to bring me to a gradual stop. As you can see here, I'm sliding down the hill head first this time, so I need to reach the axe as far out to my side, level with my shoulder as I can, trailing the pick facing back up the hill. As I trail the pick and reach, this will allow a pendulum action that swings my legs below me. As my legs come below me, again I need to keep my feet off the ground. As I come in below, I'm then going to lift the ice axe off from the initial trailing position, turn it around so the pick is facing back up the hill, and bring it back into the original ice axe arrest position. And this brings me to a steady stop. So this time I'm heading down the slope head first on my back. Again, I'm going to reach out as far as I can to the side of me, whichever side the head of the axe is on. This time I'm reaching more level with my waist and as far out to the side as I can. As I reach out and trail that pick, level with my waist and far out to the side, this again will start my feet to pendulum away from me round the opposite side. As my feet swing around and away from me, I'm going to roll onto my hip, which allows me then to keep rolling around onto my front. And this will result in me having my feet downhill and my axe back up the hill with my feet up off the ground. And from there, I can come back into the original ice axe arrest position and gradually come to a stop.